Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Hospitality Marketing, live show number 540. I am your host, Lauren Gray. Thank you so much for joining us, and everyone kicking on live. All the channels are coming up alive. If you're watching us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube channels, Twitch, and of course, our perennial, always hospitality TV channel, Hospitality Channel, which you can find on your smart TVs, whether it be a Google TV, Apple TV, Amazon TV, smart TV, Samsungs, TCLs, Vizio, Roku, all of them. We're there. Just look for the channel. And also our app. I did get people commenting today. We actually watch me on their iPad or tablet off of the app more persistently. You can find it in Apple iOS or Google Play. Just look for the Hospitality Channel, and the app's there. The show is always on the free side. We do have a paid gateway for additional content. And of course, we always broadcast live if you are a member of our Hospitality Marketing Club, hospitalitymarketing.club. Peer group. If you would like to join, please do. We'll talk more about that later. We, of course, offer the ability to get to the paid gateway content as well as, of course, all of our shows. As a matter of fact, you contribute a lot to our show out of the club's discussions, which is really a little bit of today, what the topic came from, because we're beginning to see new services being offered into our industry for marketing. Solutions that are here to help the AI dilemma of invisibility. Where are you showing up? It reminds me of back in the days. Are you showing up? Well, I can make you #1 in Google search results. Okay, so AI, I can make you show up for AI. All right, well, that's good. We're already being told by the very platforms that AI has been created with how to show up for AI. And of course, there are functionalities and technicalities of how to do this, but there is a lot of, well, it brings me to my topic today. Trojan horses, snake oil salesmen, and AI. I'll tell you a story of something way back when, which really isn't way back when, but back when. So when I was already working at corporate level, and we had this company approach us about wanting to put in new electric chargers for EV cars. Because it was just being introduced. EV cars were just coming to market, and they were promoting, have it where you turn into a power station for people to come charge your car, and they can stay, come into your restaurant, and all the other pitch and moves about this. But the deal was, they would put it in, you'd pay the electricity forever, and they had a forever lease with you, meaning you could never kick them out. They will always be there. And you couldn't do anything about it. You could never replace them. You could never do anything with them. They would have a forever license for them to be on your property. They'll install the thing, but you pay for it once it's installed, and the electricity and everything, but you can never kick them out. And I'm scratching my head going, why are they offering this, and how bad is that for the properties? There was a couple of properties, not ours, that did the deal. 6 months later, they regretted every minute of it. One, the electric bill was way larger than they anticipated. Two, it didn't do anything to increase business. Their guests really weren't ones that used it because they usually got rent-a-cars, and there was no EV rent-a-cars at the time. No thought there. And second of it was for the increase in restaurants, they didn't really want the additional local traffic at that level because it was a resort. This was a courtesy level, thinking this was approaching one of the sales pitches, high level of income, people buying the new super expensive EV cars. Well, they're all local people. And you would think that, well, the idea would they come to your restaurant. It happened a couple of times, but never to justify the entire circular value of this. And then, like I said, 6 months later, all of a sudden you find out you could actually install them yourself. It was a lot cheaper. The electricity was still there, but then you had some control over whether you kept them running or not, or exclusively to your guests or not. And so today reminds me of that in the sense of AI services being offered. So here's the big scare tactic right now is, are you showing up for AI? Are you being brought into the AI results, generative AI discussions, as more and more people use AI? And we've talked about it on the show many times about the expanded traffic that generative AI, okay, GEO is now the acronym that seems to be anchored. We had a discussion about that too. As to, are you showing up for AI search results? And we went through some processes. Some things were quick and innovative that quickly everybody adopted. And then some things that were innovative but didn't stick because there's rules and guidelines of how AI used data changed. But pretty consistently out of our entire dialogue, and what's been consistent with most of the largest platforms, Bing's Pilot, Gemini for Google, ChatGPT, Llama, Perplexity, all these larger scale platforms, all say the same thing. They base what they use a lot on what they learned on, which was SEO fundamental structure, content that's relevant, digestible content, relative content, authoritative content, all of the things that we have always known about SEO are reflective in what AI needs. Now, we also know that AI creates its vast amount of its own data, exponential growth of data. And we also have complained on the show about how that is not always accurate data. Sometimes it hallucinates and creates its own version of its understanding of data, or will create up the data that it needs to answer a question. All said and done, those things are improving to some degree. Actually, they're improving a lot to a degree, but the issue still remains. And there's a lot of junk data that's out there. And that influences things. We also talked about the sourcing of data from the Wikipedias and Reddits of the world and so forth for authoritative databases to the subjective submission data, where you're putting it onto your site so that it can be discovered a certain way by AI, communicating via schema to talk to long language models to say, this is what we want you to know about us. If you're a bot from an AI, this is what we want you to know about us. And these are all viable technical things that need to get done and so forth. But now what's being sold to our market is very much reminiscent of the charger story I just gave you, the EV charger story I gave you. There's this early adoption or early willful adoption of buying product that will represent you. You need a AI interface for your guests to discover you. And there's these platforms floating out there that are saying, hey, let us basically take all your data. Everything, content, images, everything you want to say about yourself, anything we need to generate about you, basically your entire identity, in no uncertain terms, your entire identity. And we're going to create a chat bot on your site for your users to help discover and interface better what you are for them. This will, and quote unquote from the sales pitch, help AI discover you because the content will be easily understood. Now, that little gap point's a little bit of an issue with me, but like I said, we'll get back to that point in a second. So they're going to make an AI agent for you to represent your product using all of your data and everything it needs to create for you for your data so that you can represent yourself better for the AI agents that are already looking for you. Here's the catch. It's not your platform that you're surrendering to. You're giving this to somebody else for you to sell. You're saying, here's everything I have. Please go sell it for me. For those in the industry that have been in the industry for a while, does that sound very reminiscent of discussions back in 2000, 2001 about a certain branch of channel that we now have to deal with in a love-hate relationship, like online travel agents, OTAs? Let us help you sell your distressed inventory. Let us help you sell your hotel. We'll help market your hotel for you. These are the conditions of our relationship: commissions, percentage discounts on rates, so forth and so on. Let us do that for you. And then we, in hopeless abandonment because of causations in 2001, surrendered ourselves. Please, I can't sell myself, so please sell me for me. That's exactly what these platforms are doing. They're taking literally your identity under the auspices of helping you and selling it not on your site, but literally sitting on your site as an intermediary to sell you, okay? They're stealing. I've made it all the way to your front door of your hotel. I'm walking into your lobby, and this agent is coming over and saying, let me get these, we each all pre-checked in, everything, blah, blah, blah. And boom, they take credit for the sale when in fact that person was already in your lobby. Okay, we've had this discussion with OTAs before and intermediaries, that's the pain of what they do, that they stand at your front door and literally catch somebody that may have already been walking into your hotel and make it look like they made them walk into your hotel. That's literally, metaphorically, what OTAs do for some degree. That's what these guys are doing, girls, guys, whatever. For AI now, they're saying, out of all this discovery of AI, we're going to go over and help AI discover you. And they're going to come and look at it, and we're going to make sure that they see you the way they need to be seen. You need to be seen by them. And the interface that we're putting on your site, which is controlled by us, everything on it is us. Nothing of you is on it except for what we've taken from you. But all of that functionality is on us. Now, right now, the sales pitch is, you're not doing it for yourself, so we can do it for you. There's no mention of the long scale of what this means, because the same too with OTAs. OTAs, we're out to help you sell your inventory, so forth and so on. And look how dominant they've changed that that volume where we're now dependent upon them. They dominate the decision process where you have to pay to be in a better position now. Before it was, we're just going to represent you equally with everybody else that's available, that's participating with us. Now you have to pay for positioning. How quickly and how soon will these platforms that are offering this AI compatibility function begin to do that? Well, hey, we're doing this with you, but if you want to show up better than your competition that's also on our platform, you got to pay us more money than they're paying us. It is the next inevitable step. They're there to make the money from this, but now they're making money completely on what you've given them, which is everything of your identity to sell you. And now you're behind them as they sell you, and they dictate to you what they're willing to sell of yours, how they're willing to sell it of yours, in comparison to anybody else that might want to give them more money, and if they sell yours, because you now let them dominate your voice. You've given them your AI discovery voice, and you put them on your website, no less. Your website's still sitting in the back doing what it was doing, but now it's doing it less because they're sitting on your website, and this is an interaction that the user may want to use because that's intentional of the chat to do it. Very excited about this conversation. And so you're literally giving these platforms the ability to stand in front of you. You've chosen to let them represent you completely. You've given away the last of what you had in control of, which is your own data identity, and allowed them to dictate and operate with that identity for you on your behalf. And that's what's out there right now, snake oil, because that's being sold. 6 months from now, we'll have more concrete discussions about how the process of your own ability to do this for yourself is available easier, where you get to control and own, more importantly, that ability to do this for yourself. These guys are the early runners. They're the ones that are out there trying to scarf up the fat fruit of people that want an answer. They don't understand the system well enough to know what the offer is being made of. And they think this is a good idea. And they're going to sell themselves off to do it, thinking, hey, I solved the problem about our diminished revenue right now by joining up with them. They're going to rep us for AI. They're going to handle all our AI. They're going to build all our AI. They're going to do all this stuff for us. And it sounds great and rosy and stuff. And there's no catch to it until they begin to get to scale. And they now have to compare which child they like more, and then which child's going to give them more money so they represent them better than the other child that didn't give them as much money. That's the inevitable next step of this. When you give this onto a platform that you don't control, when you're sitting in somebody else's sandbox, you have to play by their rules. And they're asking you to play in the sandbox. And there are businesses that are looking at this because they don't understand what's being offered, and they think that it's a good thing, and it's not. And that's the dangerous part of this, is a lot of these decisions are going to be made for a lot of ownership groups with a lot of regret later on. Because even if they try, and even if they feel they have the capacity to extract themselves from the relationship, the damage has been done, because everything that they had is now out there, and these entities have become, in virtual terms, virtual AI OTAs. They have created themselves as an intermediary to sell you on all the things that you are in a new environment of AI-generated discovery. They are no different, no better. Now, if you think about who you're already competing against, everybody is above you right now. As a property, as an ownership group, as even a brand in some ways. I sure hope there's some skunk works going on in Marriott and everybody else that's trying to figure out a way of creating their own version of doing this for their properties, because right now, branded properties are getting beaten the hell up, and Marriott's just focusing on Bonvoy as an identity which creates distribution. It's got to get better. That's a whole nother discussion. But the idea, everybody's above you right now. You have OTAs that have their own AI, so that there's a self-discovery on their platform, making it user-friendly, convenient for you to narratively discover what you want to do, curated by the platform based on its prioritization that it creates internally. Think of it this way. You're using hotels.com or Expedia.com AI engagement, and you're crafting what it is that you want for travel. The answers that it's coming up with is not based on any and all of the options that are available to consider. It's only drawing from the things that is of value to it, relationships that it has forged, values that it can provide for itself by your using what it tells you, like, well, this is where you want to buy, or this is where you want to stay, or this is how you want to fly, or this is where you want to rent cars from. because it financially models its results tailored to the content that it has derived relationships with. Some people know that, some people don't care. Some people don't know that, but because it's being used. Then you have all of the large players that are out there. There's a dime a dozen travel agent GPTs running around right now of customized travel agent discoveries. And there's a lot of them that are really good. They're a lot of fun. They really help you cull down the chaos of decision into some functional variations of singular choices. And they're great like that. That's the purpose of them. There's a great side to all of this. There's not, everything's all bad, doom and gloom. On the contrary, it's as more and more people begin to use or learn to use the platforms in a way that platform understands what the queries are really wanting to get to. And the better it does that, the more useful they become, the more it might actually reemphasize or grow travel interest, because sometimes it's a barrier for people through the process of figuring out what they want to do for travel, the frustrations and the aggravations that we make them go through with our web designs and navigations and multiple platforms they have to go through and everything like that. And now we've streamlined, or AI has streamlined that into a more pleasurable experience. And we're satisfying that they found what they're looking for and didn't miss what they didn't know. So there is great to this. And there's some great chat bots that are out there for this. But we're not talking about just that. We're talking about how does it benefit your particular hotel right now? What is it about your hotel that you can sell using these types of things? And you have this layer of OTA-esque AI agent engagements. So you have all these independent players out there trying to develop travel bots or agents that will help in the discovery processes for people's travelers. But it's a user-focused side. It's not a property-focused side. These snake oil ones, these Trojan horse ones, are property side. Let us do this for you. Let us have this capability to do and stand in front of you to do this for your AI generation, your AI discovery, your AI usage for users, and so forth. Let's become your own MCP in a way, but it's not sitting with you. It's not on your website. It's not collectively content that you control. It's content that you surrender. And the content that they generate, they retain. They don't give that to you. It's not like they build up all this content for your blogs and discoveries and don't misses. And if you part ways with them, they hand it over to you. They keep it and keep selling you, but now they sell you remotely from what you let them do before. Now you're competing with them. That is the progression of what will happen. And then above all that, you have the big boys. You have the Googles, you have the Bings, you have ChatGPT, you have Perplexity, Claude, Llama, Meta. Uses them a lot. And all of them are doing the same thing. Some things you have to ask you, constructively look at when these pitches come to you from these kind of companies is this completely on ChatGPT? Because what they're offering is you as a ChatGPT bot. We're going to put you on ChatGPT. And so when people are on ChatGPT looking for you, ChatGPT knows everything they need to know about you so that you are under consideration at all times. You are being exposed to ChatGPT's understanding of what your product is. One, that's delimiting limiting because now you're only on one platform when we know that there's a variety of platforms that are being used pretty much at equal volumes in most ways. So you're only isolating one channel of discovery, even if it was true, which it's not. What they're using is the ability to use ChatGPT AI for the travel discovery program that they have with your data, but they're also including all the other hotels that are joined with them data, and they're going to use that as an asset, saying, look how many hotels we represented. So now your market is well represented in discovery. So is your competitors. So it's great that the whole area is better understood by a particular AI platform. Not that but now you're also equally discovered by your as your competitors are, and they might actually hold that in reverse, saying, "And if you don't do it with us, your competitors are showing up better than you're showing up. You're going to lose even more ground on it." And I would say, let the mouse that roars beat the lion. You can do that for yourself as well as they're proposing to do it for you, because all of that extra data of your competitors is not enhancing the ability of discoverability of you. And nor is it a direct competition to what you can be discovered for if you know what you're selling. And that's going to be next week's show, actually, is what are you selling? That's a huge question that needs to get answered. And not the rhetorical diatribe mission statement liners that you browbeat your team into being able to recite. This is what is your product? Why is your hotel different than the hotel right next door of a different flag, or if you're an independent flag or whatever? What is it that you're selling that you want to make sure users know you have. That is a defining feature of you. I didn't say defining difference, because equally there may be a competitor that has that same value proposition, but they're in a different location, they're a different venue, they have different amenities, so forth and so on. What defines what you are? That's next week's conversation. But it's key element to today's conversation, because that's really your Excalibur weapon, in the sense of how well you wield it. How well can you represent what you really have as identity in the market? The baseline of NAP information, name, address, phone number, where you are, amenities, functionalities, proximity of relationships, and so forth, is all well and good. That's very factual. It's a baseline. You need your factual content. What we're talking about when it comes to the usage of AI, and I believe this fervently, is as people become better at the usages of AI, it's not the factual. There will always be a functional requirement in our quest, nearby, closest to, best of that functionality. But even those ones are related to scalabilities of inputted content from a humanistic side. Warm, comforting, family-oriented, pet-friendly. There's factual statements to that, and then there's testimonial validation of that. There's content that creates a relevancy to you on that. I feel that AI, as people get better in using it, our real discovery value isn't about the facts that we can put out front, but rather the connections of the intrinsic perspective content that people share, or we represent as ourselves as, that's going to come through more in AI's results. Because what I feel is that people get better with AI and how to query AI, and AI keeps this history of how it interacts with you. It begins to, as in any relationship with a person communicatively goes through, you don't have to constantly preface your statement or your questions with a definition and description. You've asked that same question or variations of it enough that the predication's already there. I'm already traveling with my family, or I'm not traveling with my family. I am on vacation, or I'm not on vacation. These things happen. So when you ask AI for a continuance question, it already has learned from previous queries the predication of what you're asking about. So it includes it in its query discovery through history, not from you having to say specifically, this is exactly every minutiae detail I can put into my query so that you will give me what it is that I want, compared to having to re-identify my query because I forgot to mention I'm not traveling with the kids this time or something. So these humanistic engagements with how we will be using AI, I think will become the defining variation as to our discoverability in AI, because as the factual information, SEO based, becomes and is the baseline of discovery, as it is now, you're in a very competitive relationship as to quantifying what it means you being closer to a downtown event versus your competitor, or best of is relative to rankings and ratings and awards rather than sentiment, comments, and referrals. These things are getting worked out in AI, and they're only going to get better on the humanistic side, I feel, because as factualization stays and SEO uses that factualization, and AI inherently uses what it learns on or has learned on, which is SEO factualization, then these intrinsic values are the real mix of content. And those results that are related to those humanistic perspectives is the data that grows that's going to continue to use more and more by other AIs, as the sentiment of a hotel being a warm and friendly place is reiterated through the constant discovery by AIs, content or content being developed by AIs in relationship to that, and it being rediscovered again by other AIs that need that kind of information going forward. That growth of data is what I feel is going to turn more humanistic. With all that being said, these snake oil and Trojan horse service providers on the business side are just trying to grab a land grab right now to keep you locked in, so that when this evolution of the ability for you to do this yourself better, the humanistic aspect of AI's interaction begins to have an influence on it, they're in the driver's seat of the relationship with you. You've given them control, and you have to wrestle it back if you can. And even then, you've damaged the future, because they will now be in competition, because they basically know you better than anybody else. They're taking what you gave them initially, and they're going to continue to go forward with that, making money off of selling you, even though you don't want them to be that person that represents you anymore. It's like getting out of a bad relationship. Um, so it's word of caution. They're coming around more. I'm seeing them more. And there's variations to what's being offered. There's the variation I just mentioned. Everything sits in our chat. You put our chat on your site. We make sure you're optimized for AI. We use AI to be more user-centric for you, so you get better conversions and we have better productivity out of AI's traffic. Then there's a combination of that. And these tools are out right now. The fun part, it is fun for me and those that I've enjoyed spending time with on our peer groups and so forth, is these tools are already in market. You already have the ability to do these things. It's just putting the pieces to the puzzle to get the picture. You have the ability to create these functionalities yourself. One of the other variations I was just about to mention was a variation where as this chat works with what it is interacting with the user on your site, it's adaptively changing the content behind it to reflect what is being discussed in it. So it actually creates and modifies dynamic content on your website so that as you're talking about room types that you may like, I have kids traveling with me, so I need a couple of beds. You see that the offers on the page behind it come up with double rooms and so forth. And it's, well, I want the beach view or I want the mountain view or whatever, and it then changes the inventory type that reflects that interest. So you're constantly seeing the adaptation of what you're engaging with behind it, because inherently, as we discussed with AI before, it's always looking for a single answer. A lot of people know that the single answer is a biased answer based on the criteria that the AI thinks it has understood from your query and the results it's given. And because of FOMO, fear of missing out, you doubt the certainty of that. So you want to see the contrast of it. Like, okay, you picked this. I'm good. I like this. Looks good. It answers to what I'm looking for. But is that really truly the only thing? And so you'll look at it and you're going to see in comparison, you might even ask the AI, what was the second best one? What's the other alternative to this? One's equal to this. What about anything that's closer to this or whatever? And you'll see AI come back with another variation. And it too may be something. You can go down the hole of paralysis by analysis, but you begin to see that a singular answer sometimes has to be a biased one. That it will just have to say, because you said this, this is the best result. When really, if you diminish the importance of why I picked this one slightly, another one comes up in view that might be even better because it has things that you didn't consider you wanted, but then discovered that you saw that it had, and now you want that. This is the humanistic side of things where we're like, I wanted blue, not that blue, lighter blue. You know what I mean? It's just you change it a little bit. You want this, but then when you look at it, you see that maybe it was a little different than what you first thought you wanted because you saw something different that made you think differently about it. That's something AI can't do yet until you get better in the dialogue with AI. So what happens with us in showing up for content is a lot of times, even though you have an answer, the singularity of it might create a suspicion of just seeing variations, which is why having the content behind your discussion showing you the choices of, well, this is a double facing the mountains, but look over here, this double faces the valley, but you know what, it's really a nicer room, or gee, that's a great view too. I didn't think that the valley would be that pretty, but it really is pretty in that picture. Let's do that instead of the mountain. Besides, it's cheaper or whatever. That's where this collaboration of content, you're engaging, you're getting what you want from the engagement, but you're not exclusively seeing singular answers. You're seeing the results of your query. It's kind of like an AI version of an enhanced search engine combo thing going on. And there's those that are coming up like that. And those are fascinating. Those are, some users do just want this is what I want, boom, you found it for me, click, great, I want to go buy it. That solves perfectly fine the singular answer. Others might be, I like that. I want some variations to understand what I'm looking at. Oh, I like that differently. Let me change it and go, let me look at that one instead. That's where the combination. But the real key to that second example is that the content that is being used on your site is on your site. It's your content. It's being shifted and moved. And as the user engages with the chat, the results of that engagement enhance your website. So you're constantly feeding the value of your own site in the process of the user's engagement with your AI agent. That's radically different than the first example I told you of this business model where these people are wanting to be solely on their platform, dictated by their ability on whatever chat engine that they've chosen, the singularity of that, and making users, in order to get the full benefit of this AI agent engagement, the user has to get on their AI agent. They're trying to get themselves to be a progressively strong AI travel agent, which is very, very similar to an online travel agent. They are that. They're becoming that. They're wanting to be that. They got to get that scale. They need hotels to join them so they can represent more hotels to validate selling it to other hotels that other hotels have already joined them. Why don't they want to join it before they're excluded? This is the model we've seen happen back in the land of OTA world. Okay. And then we get held hostage and we get told that in order for us to show up as well as we once did, we now have to pay more money to do it, or our competitor will be placed in front of us. Or we won't show up unless we do this, or we have to do certain things with them, or we have to offer certain things with them. And literally, they're there to replace not just what we can do for ourselves, but to become dominant over the engines that are already running. Why do you think all the OTA currently right now are trying to do the same thing? They realize the importance of providing value in a space that people are using more of, AI engagement. You are the product. You're the data that they need. You're the inventory they need to sell. And so they want to do this for you. And they want to offer it now at an incredibly reasonable way of doing it, so that it seems like a no-brainer to do. You do this, you're going to make more revenue. You're going to show up at AI. You're going to solve all your problems in one magic silver bullet by giving us the permission to do what we're telling you to do. And I'm here to say that's not a really good choice. And there's always exceptions. Of course, there are those that just don't. There's those companies that use OTA and literally as their own booking engine because they figure the commission's well worth it compared to the expense of internalizing or hiring a third party or running their own booking engine or whatever it is. They just run the OTA and they're fine with the commission on it. And those are the same people that are going to be fine doing this. Yeah, just do everything. Be me. Yeah, okay. I'll keep the sign. I don't have to really keep my website up that much. I mean, it'll be there, but don't have to worry about it now as much. I don't have to worry about my marketing as much. I don't have to worry about this as much. I got my OT selling on this side. And I got these guys selling on the AI side. I just have to worry about my operational things. Maybe they have a management company for that too. I don't know. That's probably where it'll work for those people. Everybody else needs to reconsider the idea. In a few more months, we're going to have more tools available from property side focused, property value perspective. That's going to be more available. That says if you put this into your system, it's yours to do. You control and enhance the data that's in it by just making sure your website is progressively always growing, and will help generate the content that is desirable by AI bots, quantitatively size 50 words, bullet pointed, short paragraph statements, what have you, those things, but you get to have them on your website as well, rather than it being just productive for our chatbot we put on yours, which is what these are. They're going to do all this optimization for you, but it's going to be on their site for them. And I say their site being their AI agent. Their content that they're using for you is going to be owned and retained by them. It doesn't get handed to you. I guess I'm beating a dead horse when I keep referring to how this is not a good thing. Your data is assets. And if you don't keep them, you're a building with bricks. And you can be anybody and anything. You can put any flag over, it doesn't make a difference. You put any name over, it doesn't make any difference. You're being sold for the commodity that you are. Location, rate, quality of product, and other things that people are looking specifically for that factual functional value proposition to it. So, yes, I have stood on my soapbox for it. Just as frustrating when I see these come out and I see businesses considering them and so forth and say, hey, what do you think of this? And I'm looking at it going, wow. First off, I don't think you understand half of what they're saying in this. Secondly, I don't think you understand the sacrifice you're going to be doing by giving them this. And third, I don't think you even have a quantified value of what it would represent to you for had you even done it with them. What's the true value proposition? Do you know how much AI traffic you're getting and what the change of them doing an optimization for you would mean for that percentage of traffic? Have you translated that into your current just taking your current conversion models and multiplying it against your value of purchase, which is your length of stay versus your ADR? So transaction value, you're multiplying that against what that conversion would represent for the traffic volume that you say that you have, and seeing how this would affect it, and how much do you think that, ask them how much by a KPI standard they think they're going to capture for you, like how much of that traffic is going to convert, at what conversion level, at what percentage level do you think you're going to be getting this from? And even if you apply your current SEO metrics of volume of traffic, click-through value, conversion values to that traffic number, does that number warrant the fact that they are in perpetuity able to sell you as them, not as you, but representing you, in the future when you don't want to pay whatever it is that they're asking to pay to do that for you. These are real numbers. These are real functional ways of looking at these proposals. And none of that comes in the conversations that I get seen. It's all a feel-good, fuzzy feel of, wow, look, it solves our AI issue. Don't be fooled by the simplicity. It's a giveaway. And in a few short months, we're going to have other options that are going to be better for you than it is for them. Just like I said about the EV story and the power stations. And some of the hotels that went for it still regret it to this day because they can't put in other charges. The company went long out of business, but the retainership of the exclusivity of the lease it's a lease on property. So they can't take it out. It's a mess. Anyways, as always, for everyone that watches us live around the world, 209 countries our TV channel goes into, and we get representation around the world always. And it's truly a pleasure and a humble feeling that you take the time out of your day at odd time zones to watch us live. I say us being collectively, it's only me you hear me talking to recently, but there is others that are involved with the show on a regular basis. For those that watch us recast, we recast 11:30 a.m. Wednesday morning, Sydney, Australian, and London time for both our APAC friends and also our EU and Mideast friends. So if you watch us during that time, which a very large portion of you all do, thank you so much. We get a lot of rewinds, schedule. I don't know the right word right now. It's missing me. Anyways, and for that, I sincerely appreciate it. We also recast on hospitalitychannel.tv. It's our I Love Lucy rerun site for all of our podcasts, all of our shows. You can go there and there's always the TV channel is always running linearly, and you have an on-demand one. You can just pick what you want, and you can do a search query based on date of broadcast, host or hosts, and topic. And you can look for all the shows that relate to those things. We've been doing this for over 11 years. Every week, haven't missed a week of doing the show. So there's a lot of content there. And we broadcast the show also on Hospitality Radio and our sequenced linear radio show every 1 o'clock Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for our marketing hour at thehospitalityradio.com. That's in 39 countries, digitally broadcasted, that you can catch. And of course, our podcast is on everything from 37 platforms, anything from iHeart to iTunes to all of that. So our podcast's out there as well. The show goes on and also for that as well. So with that, my name is Lauren Gray. I genuinely thank you for the privilege of your time. And I look forward to talking to you all next week.